Howdy do, everyone. It's me. I'm here with a special guest, my best friend, Cakey of the Dysfunctional Place.
Hello.
I will have a link to their channel in the description. Please make sure you check out their very quality content.
That's a generous description, but thank you.
I mean, there's definitely an appeal to gaming content.
Yeah, but normally it's good gaming content.
We're both too hard on our own selves. We are all our own worst critics.
Exactly.
And that's the theme of today's episode because, as some of you might not know about me, I am a Transformers fan.
Who would have guessed?
Nobody. I only bring it up to every person within a 5-foot radius of me. And today, well, not today, yesterday I introduced Cakey, who isn't as much well-versed into the Transformers as I am.
Everything I know about Transformers, I know because of you.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I introduced you to Transformers. I introduced you to Michael Bay's Transformers, as I felt that would be a great jumping off point into the franchise.
Uh-huh. I mean, it was something.
Let's work our way toward Revenge of the Fallen, which I know is the most recent one you've seen.
Yes.
Let's start out with the 2007 film, the first one.
I wish that was the actual title. Transformers 1, the first one.
It's like Doug's first movie.
Yeah.
Very ambitious.
But I'm kind of here for it. I would respect that level of self-awareness. It's Transformers. This isn't gonna be Sundance material. We're just here to have a fun time.
Sundance material, it was not. I think part of what I love about the Transformers movies is that, as a fan of these movies, I feel like if you asked 100 fans, 2 years before the movie came out, what would you like to see in a Transformers film? What the film actually ended up being was miles ahead of what any fan would have suggested.
I feel like they would have suggested something more along the lines of the 80s animated movie, but done in live action. And then Michael Bay was like, we need to have the main character be a human boy. We need Shia LaBeouf.
The thing about Michael Bay movie characters is that they don't talk like real people.
No, they don't.
They, imagine the weirdest person you know. That is just everyone in his universe.
And I love it, because it's you're watching it and it's stupid, but you're having such a great time that you don't really think about it as being stupid.
Yeah.
It's you just love all of the characters because they're just they are whatever character trope he made them to be turned up to 100 at all times.
Yeah, every human character has a thing.
Yeah.
Anthony Anderson's character. It's hey, what are you doing in my house? This is my place of zen and peace. And then his grandma shouts off screen, Glenn, who is it? Shut up, Grandma!
Go get your prune juice.
Grandmama, get your prune juice!
My grandma don't like nobody on the carpet, especially police. I respect his grandma. I understand a cab, no cops on my carpet either.
Yeah. I ate the whole plate. The whole plate!
My biggest critique of the second movie, I know we're talking about the first one, but my biggest critique of the second movie is that guy was not in it.
I wonder what he was doing at that point. Kangaroo Jack 3? I don't know.
Was he in those movies?
Yeah, he was.
Kangaroo Jack.
Only the best Transformers content here. Kangaroo Jack.
Kangaroo Jack is my favorite Transformer.
The thing about the first Transformers movie, and I guess this could be applied to all of them in some regards, is that there are so many great scenes that have such massive scope that you can tell they put so much budget into, and it looks fantastic. And then the next scene, it's the parents, the like talking to Sam, like, "Hey, were you touching yourself?"
It jumps around to so much between being like genuinely like cool and just being so much fun. But like I am like I remember being pleasantly surprised when I watched it, because my impression of the Michael Bay Transformers movies is that they're kind of terrible. And maybe they are, but I thoroughly unironically enjoyed it. And like I watch bad movies a lot, but like normally when I watch a bad movie and I laugh at it, it's like I'm laughing at the movie. But with Transformers, I was like laughing with it. Like all the things that I thought were funny were things that I also knew they were intentionally trying to make funny. So it was just like genuinely a quality film.
I think Michael Bay is just thoroughly intrigued by the human animal. And so like he's the type of guy, like when Anthony Andrew Henson's character is screaming like, "Shut up, Grandma!" Or when Bernie Mac's character's like telling his grandma, "If I had a rock, I'd bust your head. She's deaf." Like, those aren't supposed to be serious. The movie like knows what it is. And if nothing else, you have to give the Transformers movies that.
They are not taking themselves too seriously. They are here to have a good time and make robots fight, and I respect that. Yeah.
I legitimately think the scene of the Autobots crashing to Earth, like, as their asteroids form, is so good. It's a legitimately mind-blowing scene.
I was, like, very surprised with how well, like, the special effects held up. Because, like, 2009 CG, 2007 CG, not good. But in that movie, it was fine. Like I never, like, there was never a moment where I was watching the movie and I was like, that looks terrible. Maybe it's because the Transformers look so out of place anyway, just because they're these giant hulking robots. So it's like, it's not like they were CGing like an Iron Man suit or something where it like had to look kind of natural. Like it had to look like a person could wear it. Like they could just kind of go bonkers with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think part of the thing that makes Shia LaBeouf's character so entertaining is that he is kind of like, he is sort of presented as he's a normal, he's the audience POV character. He's a normal guy. But also, if he gets even mildly stressed out, he is on the verge of a breakdown every single time.
That's relatable, though. That is what I want in an action movie protagonist. I want an action movie protagonist that has no idea what the fuck is going on. He has no idea what he's doing, and he's about to cry at all times.
Every single scene, he's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I told you, just stay.
I loved it. It was great. The scene where he's chasing down Bumblebee before he knows he's a Transformer, and he's like, "Hello, police! My car is being stolen. I am in pursuit. Send everyone!
Send everyone!"
Like, everything that happens to him is the end of the world to him, and sometimes it's warranted. Most of the time it's not. But it feels relatable. I feel it in my soul.
Yeah, that car got him noticed by Michaela, Megan Fox's character. So now he just feels like, hey, 911 emergency! My car has been stolen! I am in pursuit!
It was so good. He was biking as fast as he could. He was talking like like what he imagines a cop talks like when he's like radioing into for backup for no reason.
Speaking of the police, let's talk about the scene where like they show up and Shia LaBeouf's like, at first he's like, "Oh, thank God you're here," and they're like, "Freeze! Get your hands up!
Get on the ground!"
No, it's not me. Shut up!
I mean, I think it's an accurate portrayal. I think that's really how the cops are. They roll up, they clock the first person they see, and they're like, "That's our guy. He's the guy that called us because he was chasing down his stolen car, but now I've got to threaten him with a gun."
And then the next time, when they're at the police station, I can't get enough of that scene. The cops they're unnecessarily so antagonistic to him. Like, they get his pills from his pocket, and they immediately assume that he's doing drugs.
Yeah.
Oh, what's this? Mojo? Is that what the kids are doing these days? Those are my dog's pain pills. His dad is there in his pajamas. The best part, though. I bring this up every time I mention this scene, but it's golden.
It's great.
It's the cop, like, for no reason. Nothing warrants this. He's just like, oh, wait a minute. You're looking at my gun? We can take this outside. I will beat you down.
This kid is, this child, this minor. How old is he in the first movie?
High school age.
Like, okay, so the second movie was a 2-year time jump, and he was just now going to college. So he was like 16 or 17 in the first movie.
Yeah.
He just sees this literal teenager, this baby boy, and he's just like, I'm going to shoot you. And he's just doing nothing. He was just sitting there. Like, maybe he was looking at the cop's gun because he's a scared teenager who is around a bunch of people with guns. And he's like, oh, you eyeing my piece? Why don't we take this into the bag and I'll kill you, teen boy?
And his response is, are you on drugs?
I love that.
Oh, boy. Speaking of, like, the age of the characters in this movie, all of these characters are, like, maybe sophomores or sophomores or juniors in high school. And every time I think of that, I think of, like, Megan Fox's boyfriend. Because, like...
35 years old.
Yeah, that's the thing with movies. All movie bullies have to be, like, 40-year-old guys.
The guy from Napoleon Dynamite that didn't actually bully anyone. He just smirked dismissively.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love...
That guy was 40, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, it was the same deal in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Just all movie bullies are, A, they're the same guy, and B, they just... I swear, that guy in Transformers, the bully, his neck was bigger than my torso.
Yeah. That guy had the thickest neck.
He was jacked.
I really thought he was going to come back because they were setting him up and it's like, oh, he's the bully. He's picking on Sam and he's got hot girlfriend that Sam has a crush on. And then he, like, leaves, like, 10 minutes into the movie, never comes back.
Yeah.
Never seen again.
I really like that exchange between the bully and Shia LaBeouf when they're at the park. His friend Miles just starts climbing the tree. What are you doing here? We're here to climb this tree.
Excellent. Flawless execution. I loved it.
And then it's like, didn't you try it out for the football team? Family Guy cutaway joke. Him at the football team. Oh,
Get
no.
his ass kicked.
Oh, no, that wasn't like a real tryout. I was doing research for a book I was writing. What's it about? Sucking at sports? Ha! No, it's about the length between brain damage and football.
Legitimately A+ comeback. And that is a sick burn, and I admire that.
Yeah, and later in that scene, Megan Fox is like, hey, how about you let me drive? She, like, knows more about cars than he does, as we come to find out. She, like, builds cars with her dad, and it's like, and he's like, oh, no, I'm not going to let you drive. Oh, look at these tires or something. Why don't my little bunny just hop in the back seat? And she dumps him on the spot.
Legend.
Love it. Yeah.
Megan Fox is impeccable in this movie. And also, she looks way too old to be in high school. Like, we jest about how the boyfriend looks 40. And he does. And Megan Fox obviously did not look 40 in that movie. But she did not look like a high school sophomore.
Still the best human character in the movie.
That is true. I don't know. I still like the Sector 7 guy. What's his name? Simmons. Legend.
Yeah.
Agent Simmons, my beloved.
He gets better as the series goes. Like, I love how in between the first and the second movie, like, he gets fired apparently, and he just goes insane. Like, he's still the same basic character, but it's like they played fast and loose with what his traits were.
Yeah.
It's like
he's in the meat shop and he's going full Italian.
yeah. Number 42, we got your issue. I don't know the name of the sandwich, but like I just love that little reveal. And like in the second movie, his roommate's like, "Hey, Robo Warrior, he's this website it's a rival alien conspiracy website." And then we find out it's the character from the first movie.
Legend.
I love that reveal.
That was so good.
Let's talk about the scene in the second movie where he goes to college and meets his roommate.
They have this moment, this like heart to heart, where they're kind of awkward, and then Sam's like real self-aware about it, and he's just like, yep, it's just that awkward moment where you're trying to gauge if your roommate's crazy or not, and he's just like, yep, no serial killing, no weirdos, hee hoo hoo, and they like fist bump or whatever, and then his roommate is immediately like, okay, now let me tell you how insane I am, how absolutely bonkers. He's like, let me show you my like weird internet hole where me and my boys post videos of Transformers and we're like internet conspiracists. And then he's like, you work for me now. And then Sam's like, what? And he's just like, are you mocking my life's work? Like they had this whole conversation about how they were trying to like prove that they weren't weird, and then he put the weirdest shit about him on the table immediately.
Within the span of 5 minutes of meeting this guy, he's like, here's my alien conspiracy theory website. Also, you work for me now.
Like,
I used to work in Cakey calendars.
I don't tell people like that I have a YouTube channel until I've known them for at least 7 months. And that's not even weird, but this guy within 30 seconds of meeting this dude is like, I'm gonna show you that you are in for a treat this year because I am insane. I am absolutely unhinged.
Oh my god, I just now realized I am basically Leo in that movie because we both post videos about Transformers. We've dedicated our online presence to Transformers.
Maybe you're more, I feel like you're more similar to Robo Warrior. I feel like your names are more similar than therealeffingdeal.com.
Therealeffingdeal.com. I'm just imagining like two of the writers of the movie just sitting on the couch looking at the ceiling like, what are we going to call this guy's website in the movie? How about therealeffingdeal.com? It's perfect. Yeah, the fact that this movie happened during the writer's strike, on the one hand, it's very obvious, and on the one hand, it kind of isn't. Because there are so many great exchanges in this film.
It is surprisingly competent as a movie, considering it was written during the writer's strike, but, like, there are definitely some parts of it where you're like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Those two, comic relief characters that I wanted dead.
Skids and Mudflap.
Skids and Mudflap. I hated those guys.
They're not in the movie as much as I remember them being.
Every time they were on screen, I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to listen to them talk now. And this is coming from someone that doesn't mind Jar Jar Binks that much. It's probably nostalgia, because I liked Jar Jar Binks when I was little, and now I recognize he is an extremely dumb character that shouldn't have been in the movie, but, like, I kind of love him just for the audacity of the fact that he exists. But these guys suck. I hate them.
Yeah, most Transformers fans will agree with you on that. They have this modern movie toy line now, where it's like the Studio series, which is, you know, very high quality new figures of characters from those movies. Mm-hmm. They have not done one for Skids and Mudflap.
Good.
And they still have not announced plans to do so.
I would, like, kind of respect it if they made one for, like, the ice cream truck. Because
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool that they were like two Transformers that combined together, but they just made like one car.
Mhm.
Like, there are combiner Transformers, but they usually make like some big old beastie. They're not just like, they're not, there's not really any Transformers that I can think of, which granted, I do not have extensive knowledge on Transformers, but like, there's not any that I can think of where they're like, I transform into the back half of an ice cream truck.
As far as I recall, there are really not that many Transformers that combine to form one alt mode. So that was kind of new somewhat new for its time. It would still be new if they did it today.
And then they introduced that, and then 15 minutes into the movie, they were like, okay, we're gonna get rid of that.
We got sponsorships.
We gotta like make them a Ferrari or something.
They were Chevrolet cars.
I don't know cars.
The only cars that I know are the ones in Transformers. Other than that, I don't care.
That is fair.
But let's talk about the other amazing character, Jetfire, the senile Blackbird.
I love him. Absolute legend. He's just dazed and confused.
He's like, what was he doing? Like, he explains the plot of the movie halfway through.
Yeah.
Like, he finally explains halfway through the film what the whole thing is about.
What the climax of the movie is most likely going to be.
It's very interesting too, because all that stuff with like Egypt and the pyramids that goes
out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the second half of the movie, and it isn't even brought up once in the first half.
Yeah, like you kind of like in the first half of the movie, it's like, ooh, there's like they stole the shards of the Allspark, and Sam's crazy now. And like that's it. And then in the second half of the movie, they're like, we're in Egypt. There's a sun destroying machine inside a pyramid. We're all gonna die. Optimus Prime is dead.
We gotta bring him back to life, 'cause I'm bringing you back to life. That's the end credit song of the Bumblebee movie.
Excellent.
It ties in.
Full circle moment.
Jetfire, I love that exchange where he's like, my father was the wheel, the first wheel. You know what he transformed into? Nothing. Let's talk about Alice, the transformer that turns into a human in the second movie. That was her name, by the way, in case you didn't catch that.
I have so many questions. What are the logistics of that?
Okay, so in the 80s toy line, there was a thing called the Pretenders, which are like Transformer toys that can hide inside of a human shell. I assume they were massive humans. They never quite explained the logistics behind that. But, you know, it's toy logic. It doesn't really have to make sense.
Yeah.
So I think it was supposed to be an homage to that. I don't know.
Because it's like, I'm under the impression that Transformers, like what they transform into kind of changes with the times. Like, you know, like they had those pictures of like the old Transformers that were turning into like a 1920s Bentley and stuff like that. So like obviously they can adapt what they transform into to fit their surroundings to an extent. But does that go as far into perfectly replicating a human being? Like, they're still made of metal. So why did nobody notice that she was a robot? Did nobody notice that she didn't eat anything? Like, and then her tongue on its like little rope thing.
Oh god, that was terrible.
Oh man, and like her face splits apart like Alien or something.
Let's talk about the scenes where she's trying to like flirt with Sam Witwicky.
I should have seen the foreshadowing coming, because I didn't mention this to you while we were watching it because it felt mean. But I was like, why is this girl so like hellbent on Sam in particular? Because I was like, I mean, like, you know, like it's not like he's like a bad looking dude or anything, but like why is like he's just kind of looks like a guy, you know, like he looks like a college student that you just see walking around. And it's not like she got to know him and thought he was interesting or funny. It was like the minute she saw him, she was like, "Hey, buddy, cheat on your girlfriend."
She pushes him against the wall, gets on his lap. Let's have some fun. And he's like, "Oh, you want to have some fun? All right, let's play some checkers."
His manic energy every time he's under like any sort of stressful situation. I love it.
I love the scene where he's at the college professor's lecture. That guy, okay. I've got so many things to say about that guy. He's like one of those characters who only has 5 minutes of screen time, but he makes such an impact.
Yeah.
Like he flirts with his college with his students.
Throws an apple at a college age girl. Finish that for me. Wink, wink.
And then he's like, Virgo, the virgin.
Direct eye contact with someone in the first row. Like, who let him work here? Who hired him?
Freaking Dwight. Professor Dwight. He's like flirting with his students. And then later on, after Sam has his freak out, he's like, I will not be punked in front of the dean.
Like, he did all that in front of the dean of the college, but I guess it's fine because she also had the hots for him. Like, she was like, oh, he said my name, kind of.
I was under the impression that she was shocked at what Sam had did.
Maybe, but, like, her facial expression was, like, intrigued. Like, she had her hands over her mouth, but she was like, ooh. Like she looked like she was pretending to be scandalized.
Man, why is everybody after Dwight in this movie?
I don't know.
And then there's the scene where Sam like reads the whole book in 3 seconds, and then he starts talking super fast.
His face starts freaking out.
Yes, he just scribbles all those symbols on the text. Imagine meeting this guy as your roommate. You have one class together.
I guess they both put their weird on the table pretty fast.
That's true.
Gotta respect it.
He has no right to judge him. Like, Sam might be weird, but Leo, he's got a website that's like got photos of all the incoming freshman women.
Yeah.
And
what does he call it? The freshman
55 or something?
The freshman 50. The hot freshman 50, that's what it was called.
Yeah. Ugh.
He like hadn't even met his roommate yet. And he was like, oh, what side of the room do you want? This side or that side? And when he said this side, he points at a room that at a wall that he's already covered in posters of, like, women in bikinis. Like, hey, man, I know you just got here, but do you want to pick the side that I already, like, completely covered in trash?
Is that, like, that's a thing that's like a trope in movies. Like, teenage boys have posters of women in bikinis all over their room. Is that a real thing?
I don't know. I feel like it would be very awkward.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody comes over and you've just got like titties out on the wall. It's like, I don't know. It seems like a weird conversation starter.
I don't get the appeal of it. It's like it just strikes me as like, ooh, ladies.
Yeah. Like, how are you not embarrassed that every time someone will come and visit you in their dorm room, they're like, oh, you that kind of guy, huh?
Oh.
Just shameless.
Oh, that's what you're into.
You're just wearing your heart on your sleeve, I guess.
When Alice goes back to Sam Witwicky's room and she's like, oh, you know how 2 people are in bed. It's stuff like that kind of reminds me this was a film that was made to sell toys.
To children.
Yeah, like...
You said that so many times during that movie when we watched it.
Because...
like, something would happen and you'd be like, this is meant to sell toys to children.
Yeah, because it's supposed to, and this movie is not for kids.
No, it is not. There's, like, so many scantily clad ladies and like innuendos. The mom is immediately like saying shit every other sentence. There's the scene where like he's like legit getting tortured like it's a Saw movie. They almost cut his skull open.
Yeah, speaking of the mom, there's the scene where she gets high off of pot brownies.
Yeah.
What was the point of that?
Just for funsies. And like everybody, like when she was just talking to people, like they seemed very amused. And then like, you know, I've never done a weed before, so I can't vouch, but I feel like people that are high off of, you know, that are high on weed do not suddenly start booking it and then tackle somebody who's playing frisbee. I feel like that doesn't happen. I feel like it's kind of more like you just kind of sit there and you just kind of like, whoa.
Hey, Professor, I'd do anything for an A.
Then he's got to like throw her over his shoulder like a potato sack, and that one college like student's like, control your mother, like it's his fault. And he's like, I don't think I brought this up when we saw it, but like as his dad is like wrestling his mom to the ground, he just like turns away from them and kneels down and starts tying his shoe. Like, that'll play it off. That'll fool him. He's like, I'm not involved in this at all.
I remember there's that. They go to France, his parents. Mm-hmm. His parents have a thing where they go vacation in France. There was no reason for that either, now that I think about it. It's
just for flavor text.
Do you know how much money it probably costs to shoot in Paris?
I feel like they probably didn't actually shoot in Paris. Because, like, they only really showed them being in Paris in that one scene where they were just at, like, a cafe. And I feel like that could have just been, like, a set. Or just, like, a random cafe. And they just pretend it's in Paris.
I mean, his dad threatened to punch a mime. We got that in our movie about fighting robots.
Why was that mime all up in his business, though? That's not how you get tips.
I don't know. Maybe the French roll differently.
Maybe.
What did Jetfire do, like, after he explains the mission to the main character? He explains the mission to the main characters. Mm-hmm. Then they have their own little plot where they try to do that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't show up until the final battle.
And he was, like, real intense about it. Like, they kind of teleported to Egypt, presumably far away from the enemies, and he took his sweet-ass time explaining the plot, and then he just goes, there's no time, you gotta leave now! Like, what, like, one, why are they going so fast, and two, why aren't you coming with them? Where do you gotta be?
I think they could use a big transformer like you in case they get into any trouble, which they did.
Yeah, I guess he was like, I'm too old for this shit, but it's like, well, what else were you gonna do? You were just sitting as an airplane for a fat 70 years.
There's that amazing scene where they're at the passport station. Mm-hmm. The passport guy shows up, and they solely get away from that situation just because Simmons mentions that they're from New York.
He's like, this is my family, this is my son, this is my other son, this is my daughter, and we're tourists from New York. And the guy's like, oh!
New York?
He's like, huh?
What if that didn't work?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just wanted something to add some tension and comedic relief, but like not enough that it actually makes an obstacle to the plot. And then those two Transformers that I hate were like, he's short, guys. It's funny.
Randy Newman has a song about that.
There's go around telling great big lies.
There's that scene where they're at the Smithsonian tasing the guards. Mm-hmm. Leo walks out of the bathroom. Yo, Papa, you're out of toilet paper, bro.
Pants down in public.
Man.
Dedication to the role, I have to say.
That's true, but it's like, again, I must stress, this is a film that was created to sell toys
to kids. It's got like torture scenes and weed brownies and adultery with hot girl Decepticons.
when they said Autobots waged their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, it ain't all just about, blasting people and punching people. No, sometimes it's about the other battles.
A battle of love.
That's what the movie's about. There's that heartfelt scene where Shia LaBeouf is in the desert with his family, and he's like, "You gotta go. You don't run. You don't hide. You run." I messed that up, but he's like, We're all going together." And he's like, "Dad, you gotta let me go." It's like
a callback.
It's a callback. It's a thematic circle being complete.
Yes, to when you need to let your child go to college and experience that I've never had because I live at home.
Joseph Campbell would be so proud.
Yes, exactly.
There's the whole Sam doesn't want to say I love you to Michaela.
For no reason.
Yeah, like, here's the little truth here. If someone don't want to say I love you, it's not a good idea to, like, make them.
To be like, you gotta say it right now or we're done. This is emotional manipulation.
Mm-hmm. They were talking about that during the scene that was playing that one Green Day song. I don't know. Don't let me go. Romantic. She dresses into that white dress for no reason.
Just
so the audience can go, "Ooh, sexy lady."
I honestly am so upset for how often Megan Fox gets reduced down to Megan Fox hot because she's legitimately a very good actor.
Yeah. The thing that makes that little unnecessary aside worth it, though, is like when she's finally in that white dress and Sam sees her, his reaction is priceless to me. He's just like, oh wow. Uh-oh.
It's so bizarre. It's like simultaneously too excited considering she just changed into a different outfit. Like, it wasn't even like a super revealing outfit or anything. It was just a dress. And then it was simultaneously like too much and then also like very little. Like, he was very restrained at the same time. It was very weird.
Mm-hmm. There's a bit where it's like, the Jordanians are coming, like in the third act with the giant battle, and it's these two helicopters, and I think Megatron just shoots both of them down immediately.
Yeah, and then oh boy Simmons is coming up and he's like, "We're getting you out of here, soldier. Give me your radio." And he starts climbing the pyramid and he's like, "Don't talk to me about classified information."
You gotta appreciate his straightforwardness.
I think, he got the job done. He was probably the most important secondary character. He did the most plot relevant things other than, I guess, the Transformers.
Yeah. I mean, the movie's called The Transformers, but this is Simmons' story.
He is the main character in his own movie. When
Yeah.
he's driving the car and he's just like, one man stands alone to save his country. And then Leo's like, "I'm in the car with you, you're not alone."
One man, alone, betrayed by the country he loves. Now it's only hope in its last hour of need.
Exactly.
Relax, you're with the maestro.
He's driving a Transformer, so even if Leo wasn't there, he still wouldn't be by himself.
That's true. Devastator shows up in the Transformers continuity. He's like this really famous combiner made out of construction vehicles. So obviously he was going to be the first combiner to show up in these movies. And how do you think they utilized him?
I think it looked pretty epic, not gonna lie. It felt very impressive when they're all like, there was a good sense of doom when like they're all combining together, and like it's like so like he's such a hulking mass that like he can barely like move himself properly. Like when he first like fully forms, is like he like falls over and then he's gotta like crawl back up and he's like, "Wah!" And he's crawling up the pyramid and he keeps slipping because he's just so huge and like shambling. It was, it was a good bit of special effects, not gonna lie.
It was awesome.
I'm sad he didn't kill that one Transformer, though.
Mudflap, yeah, he
Mudflap.
gets sucked into his mouth, and then he just busts out of his face.
And then, like, the other one was like, aw, man. Like, he reacted. Like, I should have known that he wasn't actually dead because the reaction to, like, somebody who he, like, do his, like, twin Transformer is like, aw, man, he got eaten.
He got all laid up.
Yeah, like, who responds like that to the presumed death of your loved one? Like, ah, fuck. That sucks.
Like, he does kind of go out a bit like a chump. It's just Simmons makes a phone call to some military barge or whatever. They just fire a laser at him.
Yeah.
Boom!
I feel like a lot of the antagonists kind of, like, there was a lot of build-up, which was really good, and then, like, the actual, like, moment where they get defeated is, like, kind of underwhelming because it feels like it happens too easily considering how much trouble they've been causing. Like, they hype up that one guy, that whole movie, The Fallen. They hype him up the entire movie. The movie's named after him. It's about his revenge. And then he finally comes down to Earth, and then, like, Optimus Prime kicks his ass in, like, 1 minute and just destroys him. And he's like, this can't be. And then Megatron's like, oh, no. And then Starscream's like, hey, we should leave. And then they leave.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'll get you next time.
This ain't over, Optimus Prime.
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.
Ooh, a good impression.
Thank you. Speaking of which, Dr. Claw himself, Frank Welker, he was in this movie as Soundwave. He was the satellite dude who launched Ravage, the cat transformer.
I did enjoy the cat transformer. Can we talk about how, like, the brutal fatalities in this movie? Bumblebee de-spined the little cat boy.
Yeah, Bumblebee de-spines Ravage. Optimus Prime takes his claw arms and just rips off Grindor's face.
Yeah.
In the forest battle. The forest battle is generally considered by fans to be like one of the high point like action scenes of the series.
It was well made.
Yeah, the thing about it is that Optimus Prime just kind of goes feral in it. Like he gets beat up a lot by Megatron and the other Decepticons for a bit, but then he's like, I'll take you all on, and then he just doesn't care. Like,
he just is fully ripping these people to shreds, all sense of heroism gone. I feel like that's probably why a lot of, like, fanboys like that scene, because there's this, like, weird trend in, like, superhero content where they're like, I like it when the superhero sucks and is a terrible, irredeemable person that just goes fully apeshit and kills people because it's dark and gritty and it's for adults. But
Batman
I do think
killing people in Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I do think it was genuinely a really good scene. I liked the atmosphere of it. The action was really well done. And it is kind of like a testament to how well the special effects hold up, because a lot of times when you use really heavy CG, you kind of go for, like, very dim lighting because it's harder to see if it looks bad. But, like, that was like a bright-ass sunny day, and they still looked good. And then Optimus just got, like, his shit wrecked, and it was all sad.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that to happen.
That action scene in the opening with the little Transformers and Bumblebee.
Gotta cut to the dogs humping, and then we gotta destroy the house.
Yeah, Bumblebee just freaking blasts Shia LaBeouf's room
into pieces, and he didn't even hit any of the, like, little, like, toaster oven Decepticons. He, like, just did it for no reason.
Yeah, well, I do like that little exchange between the dad. Like, apparently if they keep quiet about the aliens, the government will just pay for a new house.
I respect the hustle. I love how after Bumblebee, like, saves them from the Decepticons and, like, the firemen are coming, they're like, you gotta get in the garage now. And he's, like, all grumpy about it. He doesn't want to go to the garage. And he's like, get in the garage now. And then Bumblebee decides to not transform back into a car, and he just crawls, like, into the house. Like, when you're crawling under your bed to find something you dropped under there. Like, he doesn't fit into the garage well at all. He's knocking things over, and then he gets in there and he's like,
I'm so excited. I like how in the first movie, Shia LaBeouf like basically saved the world. He kills Megatron, and then the government was basically just like, good job, kid. And then they don't help him at all. Like, the dad complains about how much money the college is, so it implies that he's paying for it. Shouldn't the government help pay for it?
Like, this kid literally saved the whole Earth.
I think it's explained in the third movie the government helped pay for his college, actually, but I don't know. In the third movie, Shia LaBeouf's like, I need to get a job. Like, I'm having a hard time. I don't know. Like, shouldn't the government help him out with that?
The government in this movie is, like, weirdly, like, it's hard to tell what kind of stance they have, because on one hand, there's a lot of, like, look, like, the troops in it. There's a lot of, like, look at this cool Air Force, look at these cool soldiers doing cool things. But then, like, one, the cops in the movies are terrible, and then two, it's like they had that one government official who, like, literally ruined the entire, like, he gave away the whole plan in 5 seconds for no reason.
He was like so smug and dismissive, didn't listen to any reason. He was just he hates the Transformers.
Yeah, he was all like, okay, Optimus Prime, but don't think you're so smart. We know what's best for us. Anyway, let me talk about all the information we have out loud right now so that the Decepticons spying on us can hear me in perfect clarity.
I like how there's an entire scene in this movie. This movie spends its precious runtime with a whole scene entirely devoted to the whole, like, everyone on the military airplane. Just everyone is in cahoots just to get rid of this one guy.
Yeah, they just throw him out of the plane, basically. And then later he, like, calls the base and he's real angry. And then the guy's like, how is it that we can't hear any of our men, but this guy can still call me and be irritated?
Shia LaBeouf goes to Autobot heaven.
He does go to Autobot heaven for, like, 3 seconds. And he's like, whoa, am I dead? And then all the primes are like, Simba, remember who you are.
Yeah, you must merge the Matrix within his spark. When I was a kid, watching that scene was actually really, it was the coolest thing ever to me. Not him going to Autobot heaven, him, Optimus Prime merging with Jetfire. That was awesome.
That was, like, it was kind of abrupt. Like, I can see why your child self thought it was pretty baller, because once he got it and he started kicking ass, that was pretty fun. But it was just kind of, like, very abrupt that this, like, cranky old man is like, oh, I'm all rusty, but I'm still kicking. And then Optimus Prime comes back to life and he's like, Prime, take my parts. And he, like, rips his own heart out and just dies right there. And then all of the other Autobots are like, cool, just another Tuesday. And they just put all the parts on Optimus Prime. Like, none of them react to the fact that this dude just murked himself to give Optimus Prime, like, a little boost up.
And when it's all over, just drop it on the ground.
You just throw this man's carcass to the side. Just throw it behind the Sphinx. It's fine.
Well, Megatron is gonna come back. And we'll have all the time to talk about that when we watch Transformers Dark of the Moon at some point. I would love to.
Yes, I'm so ready.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on.
This is very fun. I like talking about movies with you.
Thank you. Cakey's channel is The Dysfunctional Place. I'll have a link in the description to that.
We upload things sometimes when we can be functional humans.
I will try to be regular with my video uploading as much as I can.
Yeah.
I guess take care, like and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
All right. Bye.